Good morning and welcome to the dialogue on Salt TV. It is that time when we look back at the major events of the week. Welcome to the show. As usual, the panelists will be taking us through those major events and we give you an in-depth analysis on matters of national importance. Well, it's the last day of November and a lot has happened in this week, looking at the uncertainty surrounding the haste at the Bank of Uganda, in which it is believed that 62 billion Ugandan shillings was lost. And the money is said to have been siphoned through a cyber attack on the accounts of the central bank. Well, the Minister of Finance has acknowledged the breach and it raises, again revives the debate on the leadership of the central bank and the systems, how the monies or the accounts are safe. But also we'll be looking at another disaster that struck this week in Bulambuli, where more than 20 people now are believed to have perished in a serious landslide. We commiserate with families. It is believed that more than 1,500 have been affected by this landslide. Not the first time. That is why we also question the response, the government's response to landslides in Uganda. Not only landslides but disasters in Uganda. If it is not Kasese floods, it will be Chitezi garbage landfill. If it is not Chitezi, then it is Bulambuli or Bududa. Are we giving this issue of disasters due attention? Well, in the studios this morning, I'm privileged and pleased to have back Dr. Gerard Wedehe Wanzara, public policy researcher, but also an associate lecturer at Uganda Management Institute. Happy to have you back this morning. Speak to our viewers.
Thank you very much, Apollo. I'm happy to be back here. Good morning, our viewers. And of course, I'm happy to see my senior here, Richard. I thank God that he has kept me alive and you too, for us to interact again.
Wow.
Thank you.
You seem to have started traveling and picked that spirit of flying and flying.
Yeah, that's an infection I got from Richard. You know, sometimes when you associate, you can easily get infected. Yeah, indeed, I was around, I was in the region. It's always good to go and see the confusion there and the confusion here, and you compare the kinds of confusion.
Wow. Happy to have you back on the show.
Yeah, but one thing, I think this issue of Dr. Kiza Besigye has not remained in-house.
Yeah.
It's a serious matter across the border. Nairobi, Mombasa, when they see a Ugandan, they say you are here to kidnap people and abduct. You are extending your bad manners to our country. So I think it has really given us a bad image.
I think we look forward to a showdown on Monday in the military quarters. Martha Karua leads the lawyers to defend Dr. Kiza Besigye.
But is that court really a court? I'm questioning because for me, yes, in law I recognize that the court martial is a court, recognize the court. But when I look at what happens there, especially when it comes to politically motivated cases, sometimes I say it is not a court, it is a political wing of maybe a political party or a politician. So there are a lot of questions because we know that there are rulings here that say civilian courts are supreme, that there's also rulings that bar civilians from going to military courts, but we continue doing it over and over again. So I believe the court itself does not respect the law. So if a court is called a court but it doesn't work according to the law, then its relevancy is questioned in promoting justice.
Okay, Dr. Gerard Werewanzala, I take note that notice that he is in a national jersey. Not so sure what signal he's sending out. Richard Magumo, happy to see you back on
You
the
know
show.
the 5
The 5-1 thrashing.
Good morning, our viewers. As always, the Almighty first, the Almighty, the all-powerful, the all-graceful, the all-forgiving. Thank you for again enabling us to be here. Our viewers, of course, we are very happy that you keep with us. Apollo and management, thanks for calling us again and again. I am, first of all, I cannot apologize for infecting you.
with the manners of flying.
No, I am hoping that it's not part of these confused groups which are going to look for money to disturb our security. But
that is serious. If a Ugandan is spotted on streets of Nairobi and concern is raised over maybe fears that he or she may be there to kidnap people.
Yeah, I'm going to ask one of my staff is in Mombasa now. I'm going to Mombasa myself, not too far from today. I want to go and enjoy a bit of that. I'll be putting on a t-shirt Uganda or something.
Oh.
Yeah, so that I can see how that is experienced. But you see, I think for me it's a mischaracterization to label the Chiza Besigye saga as a legal saga. I think it's a total mischaracterization. There's nothing legal about it. It's just a political.
It's political.
Yeah, it's just a political thing.
Well, happy and of course pleased to have you on the show, Richard. But you had an event this week. About the Uganda alcohol policy conference.
Yeah, every 2 years. Uganda is the only country in Africa that has a national alcohol policy conference. But also it is appropriate because Uganda is the leading drunkard country in Africa. So we really need
we have the trophy.
We have the trophy for drinking, so we are trying to do things. We had one of the cultural leaders from West Nile, I think he was from Arua. And he did, he's been speaking very much against alcohol, especially how it's destroying the people in West Nile in his jurisdiction. And so he brought us a list of 43 different types of alcohol, so he told his subjects to just go collecting packages of the different types
samples.
Of the packages and then he compiled the list. It was very interesting for me. Chifu, Kingi, Ryani, Tysoni, Boxer, all these. And he had a very extremely, for us, was interesting presentation. A lot of them have up to 40%
alcohol content.
Alcohol content, yes. So it was, and they are small, so they cost 1,000 shillings and less. And so we think first of all, we are totally astounded that Parliament refuses to recognize that their voters are being devastated by alcohol. We can't understand how an entire group of politicians are burying their heads in the sand. Yet the community impact is every day. So, but we have to keep trying. And now we had the Secretary General of this one, what is it, Interreligious? The Interreligious Council, which brings together all these groups, and he told us that they resolved that they are going to go themselves to the president to ask him why he seems to keep supporting lack of legislation that people should drink themselves senseless. That's not our president.
Okay, we hope for the best.
But to tell people, Apollo, that we are getting to the festive season. First of all, we are commemorating World AIDS Day tomorrow.
Yes.
Clearly, the statistics are very glaring that all the rural urban centers, Mbarara, Hoima, Kasese, Lira, whatever, the HIV infections are rising, and very quickly, very, very seriously. One of the drivers is this irresponsible drinking.
Oh, alcohol.
Absolutely. So the HIV/AIDS going up in this country, the statistics are very recent. And because of alcohol. But two, we are going to the festival season. Please don't die on the road. Really, just don't die on the road because you're drinking.
Oh. Thank you so much, Richard, and to our viewers, you can be part of this discussion by sending in your comments and observations on our WhatsApp line 0701609906, and we are specifically looking at the disasters happening in this country. The latest is in Bulambuli, where more than 20 people are now confirmed dead in serious landslide, and many more bodies are still buried. There's an effort that is going on the ground. I saw reports that UPDF has been deployed to help retrieve the bodies. Well, there is some relief that has been sent to help the affected residents, but also there is also money for condolences that has been expended to those families that lost their dear ones. Well, we ask a question whether we are in a disaster country, or we don't acknowledge that fact, because when it is not Kasese, then it is Chitezi, or it will be Bududa, it will be Bulambuli. We don't know where it will happen next. But Dr. Jared William-Wanzala, I remember we dedicated the whole show on this issue of disasters, but we cannot ignore it this time, especially after 20 people were confirmed dead, and others, many more actually, may be confirmed in days to come.
Thank you very much, Apollo. First of all, I want to send my sincere condolences to those who have lost their loved ones. Last evening I was with one lady whose family was washed away. Unfortunately, they cannot go for burial because even the bridges, smaller bridges around the area have all been damaged. And also the rain is increasing, so there is a likelihood that another landslide could happen. So you can see that painful experience that you lose your people, you can't even bury because of the risks associated with going home to do that. Maybe for the benefit of the viewers, I also want to say that Uganda is listed among the top countries in the world with vulnerabilities, vulnerabilities related to climate change and environment. It is a serious issue because if we are listed among the top, then it means that we must put in place systems that mitigate the risks, but also systems that respond to the damage, the aftermath when the risks occur. And of course, our government, as usual, is very good in documenting. I came across the National Action Plans on Risk Management. It's a very comprehensive document looking at various risks, either in Kasese, flooding of River Nyamwamba, the Elgon, the Kisoro, landslides, and then, of course, others that happen regularly, like road crashes, where you find fires consuming people, explosions, and then there are many, many others. Hunger, like we know, when it rains in Elgon, the next thing you should know is that the water floods into Butaleja at the Tororo areas, and what happens there is flooding in those areas, and when it floods, it impacts food security. You find the cassava which they eat is rotting in the gardens. The same in Teso, when it overrains, the sweet potatoes and the cassava rots in the water because they don't require a lot of water, and these are lowlands. So given all these risks in the country, and the fact that when it comes to climate change, we are among the top 8 in terms of vulnerabilities, that means that we must have systems that respond and also that mitigate the damage that has been caused. This particular one in Elgon, there are a number of proposals that have been over time being proposed by government. One of them is resettling. And you know, in such an area where we know these things are prone to happen, the only way you can mitigate is by you know, like in meteorology department, which focus on rain.
Yeah,
They detect and they say it is going to rain, but in this region we expect this amount of rain, and what is too much, when it's too much, this is likely to happen. Yeah, they have sometimes released the reports. Unfortunately, this information ends with us in Kampala. You don't find this information going targeted, you know, targeted dissemination to those people. But even when it reaches them, what is the alternative? Because in some countries, like we see in the US, they even have compulsory evacuation. If the risk is very high, they will send there the home guard, the home land forces, and say, get out. The risk is high, to minimize the number of people who are going to die. And you will not resist. You are taken somewhere.
But Dr. Richard, the government, our government has attempted before to resettle the people from Bududa to some other place, and even in Bulambuli to some other, to safer places where they can live peacefully. What happened? What happens afterwards? Is it because of what we hear, that the people themselves really come back and take over and reclaim their lands, or government stops at only resettling, and they don't care whether they come back or not?
Now, you know, a human being, I don't know how to describe it, but people usually have attachment to areas where they come from. And maybe they're attached to the graves of their great-grandfathers, the fertile soils and the fruits they get from there. So that level of attachment is so high that you cannot just move people to another place. Like you remember, government tried to give an acre to each family in Chiriandongo. I can assure you that people left their children there, and then they came back to repossess their land, this side. So there is attachment. You look at even developed countries like US, you know, wildfires in California there every year, burning homes. But the moment they solve the problem, they go back and rebuild and stay there. So what matters is, what I'm talking about, yes, you may never migrate everyone fully, but if there is a danger, it is raining too much, there is a risk and likelihood that landslides are going to happen. Probably there's what we call temporary evacuation. And then when the situation normalizes, people go back, because the damage is low.
That seems not to have been happening.
No, that one is not happening. It's rare. Actually, what I usually see is a landslide happening like now. Then you see the Honorable Nabanja in gumboots moving around in the area. And sometimes it really looks ugly, because we behave like we want to score political points in every situation. Every situation where people maybe have died, we feel good to go with bags of money. They say, oh, we have contributed the condolence, and yeah, as if it is a politicking thing. But these are challenges that we need to sustainably address.
That will be very unfortunate if for a group of people want to score political points. I mean, in circumstances like this of Bududa, where people are losing lives and property. Richard, speak to what you think about our response to these disasters, and anyway, should we only wait to respond, or we should even prevent?
Okay, so there are two aspects. Disasters will always happen. As long as people exist, there will always be disaster. Disasters can come from anywhere, and can affect anywhere. If you look at the developed world and you relate to, for example, this Bulambuli, you have water which has submerged places like Dubai, France, Belgium, the United States. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And then here we are, with water again and the soil moving. So disasters are going to continue happening. They are going to continue happening, especially because of climate change. Climate change is real. Yes, and you can see it is affecting all places. So the thing is about how preparedness, but also management. Yes, because they are going to happen, management also must be an integral part. Now, the part of the Rwenzoris and the Elgon ranges, we know that this happens every time the rains
Actually,
will come.
every year.
Yeah, we know this happens every time the rains come. But I also want you to compare that with the budget of the department responsible for disaster preparedness and management. What is allocated in our national budget for that? So before we start even blaming the responders, because that's what we do. We focus on the responders. But how have we equipped the responders to respond? A young engineer here went and lost his life there. So what is going to happen to his family? Really? Just think about this. We don't have those many engineers. This is a young engineer is going to be buried in this because some taxi driver drove into the water. So what is going to happen? Then they say, oh, this taxi driver has been arrested. I say, but this person, did he have orphans? Does he have a widow? We are not looking there. So how do you expect the other one now to go to rescue? So how prepared are we to respond? Let's start from the resources we allocate as a government. The government technical, I am talking about the Ministry of Finance, I'm talking about the OPM itself, in its expenditure framework. What does it put to disaster management, and what is how many staff are there? I was told that these guys were moving
manpower
to go to the Tangi, the river.
Tangi River.
As they were going, they were told Buramburi has happened. Now Buramburi was worse. They turned. What set of equipment do we have? For God's sake, Apollo. Parliament. How much money does Parliament allocate, approve?
Richard.
Have you seen a group of MPs from Eastern Uganda having a joint position?
Yeah, I remember.
Which one?
During the Bududa.
Which one? What did they do?
Was it 2011 or what? And 2017.
It happens every year. I am waiting for them. I haven't had a statement from them, Apollo.
I'm saying, like Weri has said, on paper we document.
That's why I have went away from paper and I'm telling people.
We have policies on paper.
Yes.
And can we say these policies do not make recommendations on, for instance, like the funding you talked about?
I have read.
Yeah.
I think the policy is for 2010. I think we need to revise it. First of all, I have read this. So forget about. But there are also risk assessments, Apollo. They have up-to-date risk assessments. It is not that we don't know. I am telling you, if you are a member of Parliament from that area, where are they? Where? Have you had them quarreling? So, for me, we want to take our UPDF and our UNRA engineers to die in that water while we are seated here and blaming them? No, I don't think so.
So you're saying there are some people who must be...
fundamentals, we are not dealing with the fundamentals, and the responsible people are standing on the side and asking, oh, the member of Parliament of that place, they know these things are going to happen. How come the budget passes and you are not contesting it? Oh, because you are members of the NRM caucus and so you fear that, oh, they will be called and whipped. No. So for me, this is the deceit that triggers me. I'm like, and you're looking at them and you're like, no. You can't. Don't start sending our soldiers to go die in... What? Which budget are the soldiers using to go which equipment? Who has imported? Who has... What? Every disaster, think about it. Road carnage, fire, floods, which we know are going to happen. Who has bought equipment in the last 3 financial years? Any? You are a journalist in Parliament, go check. So we are really being annoying.
It's Richard. Well, it's a serious concern. But Richard, more related to what you've just talked about is the response, the way we respond once a disaster strikes. We rush and haphazardly send relief. Actually, now we respond quickly with relief and some condolence money. And when he said that looks more of trying to score a political to get a political score. I don't know how you look at that.
Let me start with the relief. Apollo, we are not responding with relief. There is no relief.
They sent food.
What? How much food did they send?
Kaunga and
How much food did they send? Is it rotten or not? What has been the experience in the past? Apollo? I was talking to yesterday.
We sent tapulins.
Yesterday I was speaking to the Red Cross, the head of the manager, disaster
shelter.
Yesterday we met on television together. Red Cross, it seems to be the national department.
Yeah.
For disaster.
I agree.
No. Apollo, you see, we fear really to point where the problem is. We go around to the symptoms. It is annoying. It is also deceitful that you have a department, a policy, whatever for disaster, and you put there 0. The 0 you put there, people go and borrow on behalf, so it becomes negative, and they steal it. The continued scandals at the OPM have been around relief.